You're watching the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, and I'm your host, Jean Paul Laek, and this is Rope Break Family. Here we are, a little bit later than usual, Thursday afternoon, but AEW Dynamite review. And, this was, I guess you could say, the go home show for Beach Break, even though that's not really a pay per view, but it is kind of like a special they're doing. So, this was the final show before Beach Break next week. And this was actually a pretty good show at Dynamite, I will say. NXT, make sure you check out that review, was a pretty decent episode, but I think I actually enjoyed this Beach Break go home show or this episode of Dynamite actually a little bit more. So, like I said, check out NXT if you haven't already. Obviously, check out Monday Night Raw review and everything, and stay tuned. Busy weekend, Royal Rumble, and everything. So, let's get right into it. So, the first match we see is Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer, and they kind of show like a opening package and everything, and then Lance Archer, he's accompanied by Jake the Snake. However, Archer tells him, he's like, hey, go to the back. I want to do this alone. And this was a pretty good match. Archer obviously looked dominant, looked strong in this. Eddie Kingston, they gave him a little bit of something. He would like kind of do the heel tactics, like the eye poke, and then he would kind of get, dominating offense. But then Lance Archer would obviously, just muscle out of it because he was the bigger, stronger man. At the end of this thing, Archer goes for the blackout, but Kingston gets out of it. And then a choke slam from Archer, and Archer talks into the camera, old school into a moonsault from Archer. And then Archer isn't going for pins, but a claw from Archer. And the Butcher and the Blade, they come out and they have Jake, the Snake Roberts, they have him beat up. And Kingston, he gets a kind of like brass knuckles or something from the bunny. She's at ringside wearing a mask and stuff, so she's hidden. So she quick hands him that, and then he hits Archer. So Kingston, he pins him for the 1, 2, 3. So obviously he wins this thing, but it still continues the feud from the distraction with Jake and everything. Which, if you're going to continue this feud and you're making Lance Archer and Jake the Snake a baby face, I mean, this is the way to do it. Because if the heel doesn't get any heat, like I said in NXT review, when the heels don't have heat, the feud's not there, because it's, oh, okay, well, the baby face wins every time, so why should I care? But the heel won here, got some good heat, so I like that. So then after the match, all three men, they beat down Archer, and then the Butcher and the Blade, they hold him, while Kingston hits another back fist with the knuckles. So, like I said, good job getting that heat. We're probably going to see some repercussion either at Beach Break or the following week. So then Moxley, he talks about the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and he theorized that they're all working together. He says that there's always drama with them, like the young and the restless. Moxley said he likes to have, he's like, I like my beer cold, my coffee hot, my sex in the morning. It's a good way to start the day. He says he loves a good six-man tag, gang warfare. He says he doesn't know what will happen at Beach Break, but he's looking forward to it. And Moxley, always a fantastic promo. Now we know when him and Renee, we know when they get down and dirty, so that's cool. But I'm really excited for this, match at Beach Break, just because like they're presenting it in a legit way. I mean, it's a six-man tag. It'll probably be crazy. Probably like the rule book will be thrown out the window, which will piss me off, while I'm watching it. But for right now, I am excited for it. So then we see a commercial break. When we come back, Sting talks. He says that Team Taz throws out false accusations, say they call us hoodlums. Darby is a hoodlum. Darby says it's all about survival, and he says that he's no different from Sting. So then Darby takes his skateboard. They're kind of like, almost looks like a broken down warehouse, but you can probably just tell it's like a wall that they built or something. So he throws his skateboard through the, like, one of the broken glass windows of this warehouse. And then Sting admits, he's like, hey, I'm a hoodlum too. So he takes his bat and starts breaking windows and everything. He breaks like 3, 4 or so windows. So that was really cool. Good promo. The one thing, Sting was out of breath from swinging that bat. So it's like, hey, like it's kind of like the Goldberg thing. And it's no offense because they are older, but it's like, if you're out of breath just from doing that little bit, I don't know how you're going to have an actual match. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. So then MJF makes his entrance with the inner circle, crowd signs, just, oh, the Judas, Jericho is just jerking himself off, that same bullshit. And they're going against the Varsity Blondes already in the ring. MJF says him and Sammy need to talk after the match. And he says that he's embarrassed Griff Garrison the last time that they were in the ring, just, he's poking fun at Griff. So then he attacks MJF, which pretty much just like, jump starts this match. So at the end of this thing, because this was pretty good, this was short though. It wasn't as, I thought maybe they would try to, okay, let's kind of get the Varsity Blondes over a little bit, but because they're a team I think you could actually do something with. But they're, this is actually one of the cases where it's like, nah, this was a squash match to make MJF and Jericho look good. So it was presented that way because it wasn't a very long match. So it actually went to commercial. And then when we come back, huge clothesline from Garrison, a big back body drop. Garrison then runs wild, a big splash and a double spear. Pillman tags in. Huge missile drop kick, thrust kick on Jericho for nearly a 3 count. Jericho then is sent to the outside, a big drop kick through the ropes from Pillman, sent back in the ring, but he gets hit with the Judas effect, and Jericho hits a lion salt. And I will say, because I, called him out on that bad lion salt, this was a very good one. So, good job on that. Boom, 1, 2, 3. So he pins him. I mean, Griff Garrison is good. He might, I'm not going to say, oh, he's better than Brian Pillman Jr. or not, but Brian Pillman Jr. at least has the name recognition. I feel he's the one who always gets jobbed. He's the one who always eats the pin. So that's a little bullshit, but it is what it is. So Jericho and MJF win here. No surprise by anybody. Then we see a video package from Pac, and he says that Kenny Omega's taking liberties. He says that he acts like he owns the business, and he says like they're a pack of animals. And he says that he better bring the Good Brothers, and he said that he'll bring the Lucha Bros, and next week they'll face the consequences of their actions. So we'll see. There is a report that Pentagon is out for a while. That's kind of, so we may see, Phoenix and Pac either in a singles role or they'll be a tag team. And then that's kind of why John Moxley, everybody, all this involved. So they did that beatdown angle to really sell Pentagon, because I guess he does have an injury, so he'll be out for some time. So that sucks. I like Pentagon, but I mean, hey, injuries happen. So then after we come back from a commercial break, we see Shaq. He calls out Cody Rhodes and says that name the time and the date, and calls him a little girl with blonde hair and says, let's do the match in March. So maybe they're going to play up the basketball, the March Madness. Who knows? So then Tony Schiavone introduces Cody Rhodes, recap of the waiting room segment 2 weeks ago, and then Tony asks Cody to respond. Cody says that he'd rather just give the pitch on March 7th. It should be him and Brandy against Shaq and Cargill. But that can't happen because Brandy's pregnant, and he defers to Arn Anderson. And, Arn Anderson says that Cody, says that he got chewed out backstage by Arn Anderson and that he deserved it. He says, and then Arn says Cody is about to be a dad, and that is the most important thing in his life. He talks about when he saw Dusty and Tully Blanchard fight each other, just beat the hell out of each other, and right after the match hopped on a private plane to go see the birth of his baby boy, Cody Rhodes. And he says that if he chooses March 7th, the match with Shaq, he should do it with no regrets. He says that the match with Shaq is a once in a lifetime, and he says that Shaq proves he's a world-class athlete, each and every time he stepped on the court. And he says Jade is dominant when she walks in a room, but he's like, Arn says, I know someone else who's kind of like that. They have this fire in them. And he introduces Red Velvet, which is obviously, I believe she was working with Brandy. They might have even been in that. Oh no, that was her and Allie were in the tag team tournament, but I know her and Red Velvet, I think, are like working together. They're friends, close, whatever. So that's an obvious substitute for Brandy. So he says that Red Velvet has fire. Red Velvet says that she's fed up with getting attacked and is fed up with Cargill. And she says that Cody would never lay a hand on Jade, but she would, and say she will stir Jade's bitch ass up. So then, of course, I love how JR is like, oh, she said bitch ass. So that means she's serious. It's like, I love how when JR just pokes fun at this. And then Shivani says that the ball is in Shaq and Jade's court. So decent there. I mean, I've never liked, oh, let's bring in a celebrity, like whether it's LT or Mr. T, or when they brought in Shaq or, Floyd Mayweather, whoever it may be. I don't like that. To me, that's stupid. Or who was the most recent one in WWE? That, the boxer, the Gypsy King, whatever. His name escapes me, but that's all like bullshit. Tyson Fury. There we go. It's just like, I really don't care for any of this stuff. It's stupid to me. Just keep it, in your own house with your own people. I don't think basketball fans are, oh, I want to see Shaq fight Cody. Nobody cares. So then we see a video package of Kip and Penelope. They're excited to get married, and they invite us to beach break for their wedding. Miro then bullies. He's like, I'll be there, the best man Miro. And he's like, me and my butler Charles will be there. And he keeps, bullying him and poking fun. So that's just going to be another bullshit segment. You're going to have Orange Cassidy show up. He's going to ruin the wedding. Probably him and Charles are going to put, Kip and Miro, or Kip and Penelope into the big wedding cake. Miro's going to get pissed, beat him down. going to be a tag match then the following week between the two of them. So there you go. I just booked it for you guys. Then we see Hangman Page. He makes his entrance. He's going against Ryan Nemeth, who is already in the ring. And Ryan Nemeth is the brother of Dolph Ziggler. So I was actually really looking forward to this match, and this was pretty good. Nemeth kind of has the same style as Ziggler. I won't say he's as good. I won't say he's as polished, because you won't be. Ziggler was in that WWE system, all those good trainers they had, all the years of experience. So he won't be as good. But will he be when he reaches this point in his career? I don't see why not. This guy was really good. I really like this match. But Hangman, like they said, the story was, commentary was saying, oh, he didn't want to join groups. He turned down the Dark Order. A lot of people thought he would join them, but he wants to do the singles run. And JR even said, like, yeah, he was in groups, he was in tag teams, but this guy's future and his greatest, the place that he will shine the brightest is in a singles run. And they mentioned how he could have been the first AEW champion. He had that opportunity and stuff. And they saying hopefully he's on track. But at the kind of towards the middle of this thing, Matt Hardy, he comes out, he's scouting this match. They weren't sure if he was after Nemeth or after Hangman. But then as the match was going on, he was like, come on, Adam, come on, Adam. So you knew he was on Hangman's side. And Nemeth, he does a bouncing wrist lock, chop from Page, knees from Nemeth, neck breaker from Nemeth, who is definitely, like I said, imitating Dolph Ziggler, doing some of his moves. But, you can tell it's like, okay, who's the more polished one? And that would be Dolph. Page gets the upper hand, a spine buster, sliding lariat. Then Nemeth does that Ziggler-style DDT, but Page reverses a German suplex and then hits a spinning fist and a buckshot lariat for the win. So good stuff there. Like I said, the right winner, Hangman Adam Page, obviously, but good showing for Nemeth. Hopefully he, not saying, oh, throw him on AEW Dark, but let him get a couple good wins on AEW Dark and even some couple good wins on here. I think he's a talent you could really do something with. So then Matt Hardy, he cheers on Page, and as the match is pretty much over, Tony runs down to the ring because he's like, oh, I want to find out what's going on with Matt Hardy. So he enters and he asks Matt and Hangman Adam Page. He's like, hey, what's going on here? Matt says that he's just here to support Page. He says that Page seems to be lost and conflicted. Matt says Page is a good person and deserves to be happy. Matt says Page is welcome to dress in Matt's own huge dressing room as opposed to dressing in the hallway. He's like, hey, it's just me in there. He's like, I see, you're not with, the Young Bucks, you're not with Omega, you're not with any of these guys. You're kind of just dressing in the hallway, and it's sad because how good you are. So he's like, you can come with me, and even Hangman kind of, he doesn't say no, but he doesn't say yes, but he kind of looks like he appreciates it. And Shivani's like, oh, I would take him up on that offer. So we'll see where this goes. Is this going to be a feud or something? Is this, I don't know. But like I said, this at least is interesting to me. So then we see a commercial break, and when we come back, FTR, they enter a recap of the week's confrontation between them and Jurassic Express. Cash Wheeler and Tully Blanchard will be handcuffed to Luchasaurus to prevent outside interference. Jungle Boy makes his entrance. Marco Stunt is sent to the back because he's all taped up. So thankfully, we didn't have to see too much of him. But this match was really good. This was like the two best, that match was like the appetizer, and this was the main course because this was the best match of the night. Dax is a hell of a wrestler, super old school style. If you like that rough, tough, like JR said, if I look a certain way or I blink, I think I'm looking at Arn Anderson in the ring. And, he's heard that comparison plenty of times before from tons of different people. So it must be true. This guy's really good. Jungle Boy, to me, he wrestles, he can wrestle the new style, the flips and all that, acrobatic, gymnastics bullshit. And he can also get down and dirty and actually wrestle, because this was really good. The holds, the counters, everything, the pin attempts, the roll ups out of nowhere and stuff. This was really good. And it went, through a couple commercials, I believe. But let's skip kind of towards the end of this thing. Backstabber from Jungle Boy, and then a series of suplexes. Dax fights out and hits a DDT for a 2 count. And then they go to the top rope. Jungle Boy knocks Dax down, but Dax reverses into a pin on Jungle Boy. A series of pinfalls from both men. The crowd chants, "This is awesome," but Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap, and Dax eventually taps out. So the snare trap is kind of his submission finisher. They were getting it over on commentary. They say, oh, nobody's ever, when he puts that in, people tap out. So they're really trying to get that over, which is good. And I like this match because, nothing against Jurassic Express, because I like it when it's Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, but they're including Marco Stunt a lot, and they're kind of pushing Jungle Boy into singles. So maybe they're just going to do that, push him in a singles run, which if they do, I'm fine with it because he has his own finisher. He has his own legit theme song. So, that to me, that's fine. And it was surprising to see him get the win here because, like I said, the heels with the heat, but they did kind of get their heat spot at the end, but it was ruined. But, it's AEW. They can't do two good heat spots in one episode or it would be a solar eclipse. But then after JR says Jungle Boy this is the biggest win of his career. Tully Blanchard is pissed. He throws some powder in Luchasaurus's face. Cash Wheeler attacks Jungle Boy. Triple team to Jungle Boy. I think they did the spike pile driver. I believe it was on him because Tully Blanchard actually, he went up and he jumped down and he was the one who pushed the feet. And I like when he does that. Seeing he gets involved, that's really cool. Luchasaurus tries to help, but he gets triple teamed as well. FTR wipes out Jurassic Express. They handcuff Luchasaurus to the ropes and they cut off the horns of his mask. Stunt comes out with a chair and SAU in top flight, and they, kind of chase off the heels, but the ref kind of gets in the middle and is like, no, just like no, no more chaos. So then FTR really doesn't run away because they kind of have the ref there, and they actually also might have hit the spike pile driver on Luchasaurus. I'm not actually sure. I believe it was Luchasaurus, but because he was kind of like, really stunned when they handcuffed him and chopped off the horns of his mask. So, we'll see. But like I said, doing all that stuff, beating them down, they still got some decent heat for this feud to continue. So we'll see. Now from commercial break, Taz responds to Sting and Darby. He says that Rocky and Brian are ready to destroy Sting and Darby, and they attack a merch stand, throw the workers into a barricade. They rip up Sting and Darby merch. They throw the workers through a table and into the truck. Taz says that they are going to beat Sting and Darby's ass in the street fight. So, good intensity, good stuff by Team Taz. This should be good. But Sting's first, match, whether it's a street fight, regular match, whatever, it's Sting's first match. He's not going to lose this thing. Sorry, guys. So then we see Dr. Britt Baker versus Shauna. This was a pretty good match, Shauna, with five match win streak, they said. AEW Dark, I think it was just AEW Dark because I don't remember her on regular Dynamite television. But, 5-win streak is still impressive nonetheless. But going against the good doctor here, usually your streaks are going to end. So Shauna's not bad, though. I like her. Just she does the indie bullshit thing where I hit one move and then I have to look to the crowd and throw my hands up and celebrate. Like, oh, okay, you hit a neck breaker. How about, you do something else and try to keep beating them down, while you have the momentum. Don't let your, don't let your opponent get up and, just keep attacking you and, change the momentum of everything. But hey, what do I know? So at the end of this thing, Shauna, she gets the upper hand. Huge clothesline, 2 count, crucifix pin from Britt. And then they snap swinging neck breaker from Britt. And then she gets the glove from Rebel. And then Shauna, she almost steals the win because when she goes for the lockjaw, she kind of rolls. And then kind of for like a pin attempt. But Britt kicks out. Shauna then plays to the crowd again. Like I said, hits a drop kick. Rebel distracts the referee, and then Britt's able to apply the lockjaw, and Shanna taps out. So, right winner here going into the match with Thunder Rosa at Beach Break. And speaking of that, after the match, Britt and Rebel, they attack Shauna. They hit a curb stomp and then apply the lockjaw again. Thunder Rosa's music hits, so she comes out. She makes the save. Britt and Rebel run away. And Britt and Rosa will fight each other, like I said, next week at Beach Break. So then we see MJF backstage. He looks for Sammy Guevara, and they talk. And MJF says that he didn't tell Wardlow to attack him, and he says that he will never get involved in one of Sammy's matches again. Sammy says that MJF is a great manipulator, but Sammy sees right through him. MJF asks if he really wants to play it this way, and Sammy says that he's not playing. So, again, I love the intensity from Sammy Guevara. I love how he's going to be probably the first one to leave the inner circle. Then it's probably going to be Santana and Ortiz, and then it's just going to be left the other assholes. So, who knows? They're not doing this whole takeover of the inner circle thing the way I would have done it, but at least they're staying true and sticking with Sammy Guevara, not giving in to MJF, kind of being the baby face to break away from this group. So really good stuff there. I like this from Sammy Guevara. He's another one. Him, Jungle Boy, even, MJF, Hangman Adam Page, they're the ones you can build this company around. They'll be your future 10, 15 years from now, barring any serious injury or anything. So really good stuff. And then, the commentators, they run down next week's Beach Break matches, and then the main event is coming up next. So when we come back from commercial, Dasha interviews the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Anderson says that it's a Bullet Club party. Gallows says that they're going to beat up Moxley. The Bucks say that they hope Callis doesn't get involved. Omega enters and he says he needs to talk to the Bucks, but Callis interrupts and they all argue to end the segment because it's like, oh, what's on your face? You assaulted me, blah, 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 all this stuff. They keep going at it. So then the Young Bucks, they make their entrance, followed by the Good Brothers. Commentators say that Callis is intent on causing friction in the Bullet Club, and all of the Dark Order enter after that. So we get the main event, the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order. And this match was actually pretty good. Not a whole lot of time to the match. It wasn't a super long match, but it was still pretty good. Got you, excited for Beach Break, especially with what we saw towards the end of the match and afterwards. I did like how it started out with John Silver. He's like, what, 5'3", 5'4", and you have Luke Gallows, who's 6'8". I think Gallows actually gets on his knees to try to be like the same height as him. So it was funny, good stuff. But John Silver, when he's not acting goofy, like when he's on, I love how JR, he's like, oh, Johnny Hungy and, the meat man. And like JR, you don't want to say he's given up, but it's like, hey, if you can't beat him, join him kind of thing. So, I like when he gets hyped up, but John Silver, when he's not acting goofy and he's acting serious, despite his size, the dude can legit, and, he's built like, huge guy. So for his size, so, you got to believe in him, but you knew who was going to win this. The Dark Order wasn't going to win, but it actually, kind of towards the end of it, you almost thought they were, because Matt Jackson, he says that, um, where are we? Grayson hits a bicycle kick on Nick. Silver tags in and runs wild on Nick Jackson. Silver attacks all four opponents, and then a plethora of kicks, suplex onto Nick, and for a near fall, Uno tags in, hits a cutter on Nick, misses the swanton, and the Bucks take over. Matt hits a double Northern Light suplex. Matt hits clotheslines in the corner. Dark Order takes over, hits a double team move to a near fall. The Good Brothers send them to the outside. Matt hits a suplex and then dives to the outside to hit Silver and Reynolds. Then Nick and Anderson hit a power bomb on the apron. The Bullet Club hits quadruple super kicks to Silver. Uno interrupts the 3 count. The Young Bucks hit the Meltzer driver on Grayson for the win. So, like I said, but before that, they actually were able to hit the fatality, I believe, onto Matt Jackson, and Carl Anderson broke it up. So that, probably would have won it there. I don't think he would have kicked out of this. It's not a pay-per-view. It's not the titles were on the line or anything. So, but it is the Young Bucks. So who knows? But, that was a good near fall spot. But, like I said, Meltzer driver on the Stu Grayson, who he is, one of the stars of this group, just athletic. For everything he can do. I wish he would kind of break off in a singles run because he's kind of not being used in the Dark Order too much. But good win here for the heel team. And then after the match, Matt Jackson says that whoever wins the Battle Royal at Beach Break will get a title shot. And the Bucks say that they have inserted themselves, of course they did, into the Battle Royal. And if they win, they will pick their opponent. And to me, that's stupid. I don't like how they mentioned that earlier in the night as well. And you focus on that, it's almost like they're going to win the Battle Royal, which it's like if they do, they'll probably pick the Good Brothers, and that'll be stupid. And it's like, I don't know. I don't like that. They shouldn't be allowed to be in it. That's like you have a championship match at the Royal Rumble, you lose it, and then you can be in the Royal Rumble, have another opportunity. To me, that's just stupid. I don't like that. So Phoenix runs out to attack. After this match, Moxley also comes out to attack the Good Brothers. Kenny Omega tries to attack Moxley, but he gets hit with a paradigm shift, and Moxley, celebrates. So that's how Dynamite ends. So when we see the baby faces, they kind of make the attack, stand tall, going into the match next week at Beach Break, which that's hard to say really who's going to win. You have the Good Brothers versus Pac, John Moxley, and Phoenix. That really could go either way. I'm not going to say, oh, I could see Phoenix eating the pin, or I could see Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, whoever. I don't think Omega's going to get pinned. I don't think Moxley's going to get pinned. I feel like that's a safe bet to say. But, we'll see where they go. But that was AEW Dynamite. Like I said, pretty decent show. Really don't have a lot to complain about. Just it's the normal nitpicks. But, it's nothing like, oh, this segment was so awful. Nothing like the dinner debonair. Nothing like that. So pretty solid episode. I don't have too many complaints. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And, of course, click that like, Click subscribe if you haven't already. Comment, tell me what you thought, because like I said, this was a good episode. I didn't have any complaints really. Is there a segment you didn't like? Is there a segment you really liked? Let us know. And also don't forget to follow us, Rope Break, on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, like I said, click the subscribe, click like, click the bell for all notifications, because there's an upload every day, some days 2 or 3 uploads, so we're always giving you content. Turn on that bell on the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time with NXT UK.